time to now have our conversations around artisanal and small-scale mining in South Africa. Now, the issue of illegal mining continues to grip the country and indeed the industry, and experts have tabled what they regard as solutions to not only ending illegal mining that often turns criminal, but also to formalize it to get more South African junior miners into the field. And joining me now for this conversation is Ernest Mulibana, who is the spokesperson for the DMRE. Thank you so much for your time. I know we were both on the road today, so thank you for making it in. I think let's start this conversation off by giving us insights into the DMRE's policy around artisanal and small-scale mining. We're hearing about illegal mining, of course, as it takes on that criminal element as well, but not hearing so much on the policy out of the DMR in actually establishing artisanal and small-scale mining. Could you just paint that picture for us?
Good afternoon, Ntokozo, and good afternoon to viewers at home. I would like to start by categorically, emphatically and unequivocally state that illegal mining is nothing but a criminal activity. It is a criminal activity that compromises the health and safety of communities in which it occurs. It is a criminal activity that compromises our national security as a country, and it must be taken from that perspective. But from the DMRE side, in March 2022, the Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy, Minister Gwedimantashe, signed a policy called Artisanal and Small-Scale Mining Policy. It is gazetted. The policy is available on our website and the government website, and can also be accessed through our regional offices. So the policy, in Ntokozo and viewers at home, it seeks to formalize small-scale and artisanal mining operations in the country, to formalize them, to make sure that they operate optimally in a sustainable way, and they could also be able to contribute to the economy through taxes, through royalties, through creation of employment for community members as well. So we have this policy. We are currently implementing the policy, and anybody who would like to participate in that space, we encourage them to download the policy from our website and visit our regional offices to get more details on how they can get on board.
And can you just clarify who that everybody would be? Because, you know, illegal mining, some of the issues that have come out there is that it's not South Africans that are really involved in that illegal mining. And you've given me an example of what an artisanal, who would be considered an artisanal mining. So perhaps just clarify who that everybody is and who's considered an artisanal miner and then a junior miner who should be looking into that policy.
So in the recent past, we've heard a lot about legalize illegal miners. And there's no such a thing. Otherwise, it will be a travesty on the rule of law to legalize illegal miners. No country would ever want to do that. But in terms of people who can participate and benefit through our small-scale and artisanal mining policy, it is mainly South Africans. In fact, it is exclusively South Africans, right? So for one to participate in those kind of initiatives, you need to form a cooperative or have a business that you've registered and is operating. Then you can apply for a permit to be an artisanal or a small-scale miner, and will be able to assess the application and determine whether you can get that permit or not. And if you can get that permit, we can also give you extra support that comes in a form of financial and non-financial support. That would include training, making sure as a business you run in a manner that is optimal, in a manner that is commercially viable, so that you can be able to make some profit at some point.
And just talking through that checklist, for someone who is perhaps in mining and looking to get that license through the DMRE, what is the checklist that you do work through? How, what does that person need to prepare to ensure that their application actually does go through and they do get that license?
Chapter 5 of the policy stipulates the process that applicants must follow. And that Chapter 5 is congruent with the requirements as stipulated in the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Act, MPRDA, of 2002. In that Act, Chapter 4 of the Act, I think Section 22, it stipulates the requirements that anybody who qualifies for a mining right must meet, so that they can be able to get the right. But what is important here in Ntokozo is to emphasize that applications can be made and must be made at our regional offices where the mining activity is envisaged to occur, right? So if you're in Mpumalanga, visit our Mpumalanga regional office. Most definitely, you can't come to Gauteng when you're in Mpumalanga. So go to your regional office. They will be able to take you through the process of applying for a small-scale and artisanal mining permit. Now, you also bring on board the idea of junior mining. So junior mining are not artisanal miners. They are mining companies which are already commercially viable, but they're just not operating at a scale of usually globally renowned companies. Yes. But they're up-and-coming companies which at some point they will perhaps become globally recognized and renowned companies.
And perhaps just set the scene of some success stories that we have seen, because, you know, you did say that the DMRE has been supporting junior miners, artisanal mining, even outside of this policy. Yes. Could you maybe talk us through some success stories so South Africans could maybe just get the picture of how this policy works?
So we have more than 600 beneficiaries whom we've helped so far. We've helped majority of them being women, with a program which is known as Women Diggers. So this program is implemented in conjunction with our agency called Mintech and our agency also called Mining Qualifications Authority. Right, so we provide training to women who would like to participate in the small-scale and artisanal mining activities. So 600 of them have already benefited from that space. But if you remember, last year when we were in Northern Cape, our Deputy Minister, Dr. Nobutlen Kabane, mentioned that we have given some permits to small-scale and artisanal mining companies, mainly in the Northern Cape space. I've got a Vatupili cooperative. Let me just get the exact name of that company. That company is called Vatupili Mining Primary Cooperative. Another company is called Hootman Trading Cooperative. So these are success stories that we're beginning to see through the encouragement and promotion of small-scale and artisanal mining in our country. And we're open to engagements, we're open to applications, we're open to ideas, we're open to suggestions as to how do South Africans think we can improve from this space.
And Ernest, what is the role of other stakeholders, such as the private sector, in working in collaboration with your departments to ensure that this policy can be fast-tracked to really benefit more people? And I think from the artisanal part of the point of view, you know, you were talking about someone who's maybe in the village making cement blocks on the side of the river. That would be considered someone artisanal, and developing those guys would actually add to the industry. Sure. So what role should other stakeholders really play in assisting the government fast-track this?
So at the moment, we're working with large mining corporations. So the women diggers that I just made reference to earlier, over and above theoretical training that we have provided for them, we then take them to real operational mines, right, so that they can get first-hand experience on what mining really involves. Yes. So that is the kind of cooperation we have with other private companies that are helping us to make sure that we do realize the benefits of small-scale and artisanal mining activities. But with the example that you've just provided here of a small-scale miner, Mama Dlamini, who's probably making bricks on the side of a riverbank and does not know that she needs a permit to do that. We're working collaboratively with traditional authorities and leaders to make sure that those who want to participate, understand the legal requirements that they need to meet before they could start with their mining operations. So at a small scale, often those operations are really so shallow in terms of depth, right? They don't dig that deep. These are the normal artisanal small-scale miners. And those are the guys that we want to refer them as to zamazamas, because they're trying to bring food on the table, and we just need to encourage them, to educate them and create awareness in terms of the legal requirements and what it is that they need to be able to get the permits. But the guys we see, as the media has covered quite largely in the recent past, with large rifles, with AK-47, those are not zamazamas. Those are pure criminals that would kill anybody who would stand on their way. And the law must take its course in that regard. They must be apprehended, they must be prosecuted. But for small-scale mining activities, we're here to help, we're here to encourage them, we promote them. We're saying, do come through, we'll be able to give you necessary assistance that we can provide.
Yeah, in the week I was out in Brazil for the Kapower ship tour, and they took us out to where they really have some of those ships there for their LNG to power project out in Brazil. And obviously being a company that's looking to come into South Africa, adding to the diversification of our energy mix. Perhaps talk us through what our current energy mix looks like and where the department or how the department hopes to shape it for the future so that we can get over load shedding and so on. Brazil did have an energy crisis 20 years ago, so it also took them some while to work through that and find the right energy mix for them. Talk us through what the energy mix for South Africa looks like.
Yeah. So, Ntokozo, you'll recall that in South Africa we have what is known as the Integrated Resource Plan, IRP 2019. So the plan was came into effect rather from 2019, and that is the plan that we are currently implementing. It is a blueprint in terms of what the country needs or the technologies that the country must adopt in electricity generation. And at the core of this IRP is the reality that as a country we need to employ energy mix approach, right? That includes different sources of energy. And we are trying to avoid reliance on a single source of energy. Otherwise, that would be a bit of a challenge. So in terms of our current mix, we have got, of course, coal, which supplies more than 70% of our electricity generation. We've got renewable energy as well in our part of our IRP 2019. We've got natural gas as well. And we also have hydro as well. We've got quite a number of different sources on our current IRP plan. As you might remember, in May this year, Minister Mantashe indicated in Parliament, tabling the department's budget vote, that the department is currently reviewing the IRP 2019, and the target was to have it ready for submission to Cabinet by at least end of the first term of the financial year, which would mean end of September this year. So that process is currently underway, and we do envisage that we will come out with a more consolidated and a strong IRP that will continue to guide our energy mix as a country. And as a government right now, our approach is that we must embrace energy mix. We must avoid relying on one technology or source of energy, but embrace multiple technologies that can help us deal with our current situation.
And it's a tough balancing act, I imagine, Ernest, because not only are you trying to secure the country's energy, but you also have stakeholders such as the small business guys, black entrants that are maybe the first time coming into the energy sector. So how do we balance, as you're saying that we are reviewing, but for the future, looking forward, just finding that balancing act?
So the balancing act is a necessity, of course, but we've got to look at the needs of our economy as it is. That is why the minister has always been quite vocal, encouraging all the stakeholders, be it small businesses, be it already well-established companies, NGOs, and other community organizations, to really and intentionally contribute in terms of making comments and submissions when the draft revised policy finally comes to public for consultation. That way, we'll be able to have what you might refer to as a balance in terms of making sure that everybody's views are taken into consideration, they're consolidated, and the final product covers everybody and leaves no one behind. But at the core is to make sure that our needs as a country are well taken care of. And for us to be able to grow and develop as an economy, we need uninterrupted energy supply. And that policy will be able to deliver that for us.
Well, we're running out of time for our chats, Ernest, but before you go, just final words out of the DMRE that in context of illegal mining, in context of artisanal mining and our energy mix, just words out of the DMRE.
Illegal mining is nothing but a criminal activity. It should never be confused as anything but a criminal activity. That is why in government we have what is known as Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Cluster, various departments in that area of work dealing with this challenge, and hopefully will be able to uproot the scourge of illegal mining in our country. And in terms of artisanal and small-scale mining policy, please do come to our regional offices, go onto our website, come to our offices, engage with us on this policy, give us feedback as well, you know, in terms of where it's working and where you think we can improve, so that we can together work and make sure that our country works for everybody.
So it's industry players really also being active and being proactive to come to the departments. Thank you so much, Ernest, for your time. Of course, that was the Department of Mineral Resources